All right. All righty. Good morning. I am by myself this morning. Jennifer had a work conflict. And of course, business always comes first. I always want to make sure that I'm encouraging all of you in your business. And she's just working on a great project right now, so she's not able to join us. So it'll be just you guys and me. So here we are. Now, because I'm actually doing this straight on Facebook this morning, I'm not using another, app to go through. I usually use BeLive.tv, so I think I've told y'all that before. So if anybody wants to look into that, it really is a good platform. I like it really well. So you might want to check that out if you're doing some live things, and I can always see your comments, but as you know, I haven't been able to respond to them. Now that could be because of the person working the stuff and not the program itself. But anyway, I'm straight out on Facebook this morning, so I'll be able to see everything. And I see Karen, good morning. All right, yay, nice to have you here. You've been just with me just about every week, and it's so nice to see you. And okay, now so okay, guys. So I'm gonna get like I'm like everybody. Okay, I got a piece of hair sticking out over there. And some of you, I know that's the reason that, okay, see that? You don't see that? I'm going to be just really straight out with y'all today. Anyway, of course, I think, and I hope that I always am. And you know that, what you see is what you get, good or bad or whatever. So, hey, Allison, good morning. Nice to have you back here with us as well. So we're talking about words, right? And it is so important. And those of you who, now I know some of you are listening or are with me, but you don't make comments. So I don't really know who's actually on or watching at the moment. I always like to give a couple minutes to make sure that anyone who wants to get on can get on. But if you'd like to check in and just say a quick hi, I can't see you, so you can still be sitting in your robe or your, sweatsuit or whatever it is. And in that case, I can't see you, but you can see me. So there we go. I am here in Las Vegas, and we have had extremely hot temperatures. I guess y'all have seen that, up over 110, like I don't know how many, 10 or 12 days over 110. So, in the afternoons, we're turning the thermostats up and trying to conserve on energy and all that. So we all do our part, right? Wherever we live, we're trying to do what we can to, help our community. Oh, Karen, I love it. Rollers in your hair. Yeah, yes. Well, as I sit here, looks like I just see every piece of that little piece of hair right over there, like driving me sort of insane. I got to get it to fix. So that's the fun thing about Facebook Live and some of these other things that everybody can just you can watch in and make comments and all, and nobody sees you, so you're perfectly perfectly secure in your home. There we go. So let's talk about this, about words. And I put in the comments last night, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Now, I'm sure. Now, you guys can say, now, did you ever say that or hear that? It's kind of a little children's chant. Then it usually be when the bullies would come around and start, say, get out of my way, or you're just, you're just stupid, or those mean, cruel kind of words. And what we would say would be, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Okay, remember that? But the truth is, words do. So you could be brave at that point and say that, but then you'd go home to your mom, probably crying that, somebody hurt your feelings. Because it does hurt your feelings when somebody says negative words. So that's what we're talking about this morning, how really our words can hurt other people. Laura Schmidt, good morning. Wow, I'm so glad to see you. That is awesome. So when we're talking about words, and each of these weeks we're taking it from a different perspective. And I will tell you that next week I'm going to talk about what I think are two of the four most powerful words in my opinion. Well, there actually might be more. I have to start my list of what I think are powerful words. And very often they come in pairs, and they're just as potent, but they're opposite ends of the spectrum. But I'm not going to tell you what they are today, because that's next week. So I'm teasing you a little bit to get you to come back and watch next week. But today, when we're talking about the sticks and stones may break my bones, how many of you have actually had somebody say something to you that really hurts your feelings. And, you think, oh, that's just, that can't really hurt me, or it doesn't matter what they say. That's not really who I am. But depending on who said it and how they said it and what context they said it, it can really hurt. And sometimes it can just penetrate really deep in your heart, and it could be that many times it comes from, friends who say something because, you're great best buddies. And then all of a sudden you're not anymore for whatever the reason, something, broke you up, so to speak. Could be a relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, but even just friends, like with girlfriends, we talk and we're best buddies, and then all of a sudden something happens to jar the relationship, and then your friend spurts out just something really mean and really cruel. And somehow what happens is those are the words you remember, right? When you're thinking about it, you forget many times all the, this couple of years of all the great friendships and all the great support, and those ugly words are just like spears in your heart. And so I think I really want to caution us today as we talk about sort of the negative side of words. And y'all know I'm not a negative person, but I do know negativity is out there. Right now we're living in a society where there's so much negativity. There's so many mean, cruel words that are being tossed out there. And those words, y'all, can never be taken back. And that is something I have to really applaud or give kudos to my mom about, is that she was really careful and really talked to us a lot about be careful what you say, because once they come out of your mouth, they can never be taken back. And you can say, I'm sorry, and you can say, I really didn't mean that, or whatever, but once they're out there, it takes a whole lot of words to make up for those words that you spouted out in anger. So it's really important to think, so it's sort of like, let's take a pause. Jennifer and I have mentioned that a couple of times over the last few weeks about just pause, especially when you're angry. Really pause a moment and think. Now you're thinking in your brain, all these words go through your brain. It's like, oh, you're so selfish and you're so mean and you don't really care about others, and all those things that you might want to say to this person. But just pause a minute and think before you say the words, because once they come out, they are out there for good. I'd even say, even in the written word, I have made two major. I made a whole bunch of mistakes. Y'all know I'm not perfect. But I've made two mistakes, and we'll spend one of our mornings talking about the written word, like when you write things. But because it just now came to my mind, I'm going to tell you. But there are two times that I wrote something and I really thought about it, and I really thought that I phrased it just the way I wanted to, that it wouldn't be. Both of them were letters that I sent. One was to my dad, and one was to my sister-in-law. And what I thought I was saying did not mean the same thing to them. In both cases, it really hurt them. My intention was not, but I did want to make a point. So I had a point I wanted to make, right? And that's usually when we get into trouble. We're trying to make our point, trying to really convince somebody else to think the way we do. And that very often gets us into trouble. And I would say right now in the political environment that we're in, the thing is, I'm just going to say, you can believe whatever you want. I'm not going to try to make you believe what I do or go the same direction I do. But I do believe we all should have a chance to say what we believe. Okay, so that's, and that's not what's happening in our country. So what's happening is now darts are being thrown. If you don't believe the way they believe, this other people, then they don't want you to have a choice. They don't want you to have a voice. And so when I wrote both of these letters, at totally probably 20 years difference in time, I could not take that back. Those words, even though I didn't speak them, which is mainly what we're talking about, but they're still words that I communicated. And for years, those were a source of conflict and I tried to say, that wasn't what I was trying to say. You're misinterpreting my words. So I would say, in the art of communication, what really matters is what the other person hears. Okay? Now, I learned that from my 11th grade English teacher, who was a student teacher, and I just will never forget that. And he said, he was a handsome young man, I might say. Here I am, junior in high school, and I'm thinking, oh, wow, this guy's so cool. But he actually had a couple of things. But one of the things that he said that I've really remembered is that communication is not so much what you say as much it is what they hear. So that pause and take a moment before you say something, before you say those words that could be hurtful, that could really injure somebody, so could dampen their spirit. And as a believer, one of the things I really, really try so hard to do is I don't ever want to dampen somebody's spirit, because that, when somebody is in that excitement place and they're sharing this and you come in and you be the wet rag, who wants to be around that person? I don't want to be the wet rag that's always dampening everybody's spirit. And I have to watch that. I'll be honest with you, not because I don't want to encourage them, but my brain automatically goes into the logistics and how can this really happen, from an administrative point, I guess you would call it. So sometimes when somebody's telling me and sharing, my thought will be, oh, well, you better be careful with that, because it's going to take this and this and this and this to do that. So I start making it happen in my brain, and I start seeing the results of going that direction. Then I've just found, and Bill has had to tell me a couple times, he says, Delinda, you just always put a nix on things. It's like, oh no, I don't want to be that person. so I would say watch yourself, because it could be that sometimes inadvertently you're saying things that are going to dampen someone's spirit, that you're saying something that's hurting their heart. Maybe, and I would say, because, and y'all know my daughter Alicia, my beautiful, sweet, precious daughter. She's had some things in her life, and she's so open. I tell you, one of the things I admire the most about her is that, she doesn't give excuses. She'll say, I've made mistakes, and she'll just take on her decisions that she's made. And she has had, through the years, has had an eating disorder. Now, y'all know, if you've been watching with me for very long, she's open, and she has given me permission to share these things. So she says, Mom, hey, if it helps somebody else, that's great. But I would say, now this is just things for us to watch what we're saying sometimes. So I would say to her when she would be doing well, and I said, oh, honey, you look so good. You look so healthy and strong. And finally, one day she said to me, Mom, every time you say that, I feel like you're saying I've gained weight and now I'm fat. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would never, ever say that to her, because it was never, ever true in the first place. But I never would have said that. So once she told me that my communication there, that I was saying the wrong words, and so I had to say, well, what can I say? Just tell me. And she says, well, just tell me I look nice. Don't tell me I look healthy and strong and all that, because she said it just mentally to me says I'm now gained weight and I'm fat. So, and if you have people, of course you have people that you love in your life, but if there's like a source of conflict that sometimes you just don't understand why that happened, I'd suggest you just sit down and say, by the way, tell me, what is it that I do? Why, when I say that, does that hurt you? Because that's not my intention. Just ask them straight out. And oftentimes they will tell you. Sometimes they'll say, well, I don't know, it just does. One of the words that my mother would say to us kids, and even as an adult, sometimes she would just say it, and then she would start teasing about it. And I did, and this has been even in the last 10 years. I've said, Mother, please don't say that. She would say, oh, you guys are just spoiled brats. And she would use the word brat. Now, I really hate that word. I really do. And I try never to use it myself. I don't think that I ever have. That's one thing to be spoiled. And I have to say, in many ways, I've had a very spoiled life. I've been very blessed and very lucky. I don't even really like the word lucky, because I don't think luck has anything to do with it. But the word brat. And so, not that long ago, she said, oh, you're just a little brat. And she was teasing. I said, Mother, please don't use that word. She said, well, you know I'm teasing. I said, yeah, but it hurts me every time you say that. And I know I should get over it, but that's my problem, right? So you may have those words too. So if someone says something to you repetitively that hurts your feelings, or if for some reason it just gives you angst, it's like this little pulling against you, then just tell them. Because I would almost bet you that chances are they don't even know that hurts you and that's what's happening. All right, does that make sense? All right, now let me see. I think we've got some new people on. Let me do a little scrolling down here and see. So, yeah, Laura, it's so nice to have you on. Kristen, good morning. Yay, nice to have you on. So we have Las Vegas. Kristen's here in Las Vegas, and the rest of you gals are all in Kansas City, and I don't know about whoever else is out there. Let's see. Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you guys. I love it when you make comments. So do you have a word? Are you vulnerable enough? Are you open enough this morning that you might share? What's a word that when somebody says it to you really hurts your feelings? Do you have a word like that? And sorry, I'm not sick. I had a little allergy issue going on here. So, all right. So does anybody have a word that does bother them, that makes you feel uncomfortable or gives you angst when somebody says that? I'm going to give y'all a minute. I know, quiet, right? So as you think about that, then begin to think again. So today we're talking about the kind of the negative words, the words that we say that hurt other people. And these are some words I looked up online, and it's actually a little picture right here, and it has all kinds of words that can hurt people's feelings. Freak, you're just like your mother. Unloved, you psycho, you're such a wreck, you're just a waste of space. Skank, retard, moron, ugly, nerd, messed up, horrible, loser. I mean, aren't those awful words to say about somebody? I mean, I can't think of one thing that these words would be good to use because they hurt people's feelings. And I think as we begin to look at what we're saying and how we say it, and one of our spokes of our wheel, remember I talked about how what we're doing here is like a big wagon wheel, and each of the spokes is a different way of talking about words, right? So think about how we're saying, and also part is how we say what we say. I love this. Mother Teresa said, kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless. And the opposite of that is true too, because cruel words may come out easy, and and sometimes they're just short little phrases or words, but their echoes are truly endless. The echoes of that, the person continuing to remember those words that you said, and it takes a lot of time to repair the damage from words that are spoken in haste. So I want us to be really careful about that. We do that to ourselves also. And again, we're going to take one whole morning where we're going to talk about how the words we say to ourselves, that negative self-talk, pulls us down. But interestingly, often those words that we say to ourselves, many, many times comes from what other people had said to us. Whether it's in school, a teacher, a classmate, your parents that just said, oh, you're just so stupid, you're never going to get it. It's like, oh man. And I've heard, y'all, I have heard mothers, I haven't heard dads too much because mostly, I hang around moms and kids, but I've heard moms, like in the grocery store, that will just say some of the meanest things to their kids just out there in public. And I know they're frustrated. Hey, I had 2 kids 20 months apart, and it was not easy. There were some hard times. And when I tried to take them both out, sometimes I wondered, Delinda, what were you even thinking to try to take them both out at the same time? Sometimes we had good times, and sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it was hard. But when a mom or whoever grabs an arm of a child and says, oh, you're so stupid, shut up. Or just the words, shut up. That's on my list of least favorite words. I just think it's so demeaning. I mean, it's so much nicer. There's so many ways that we can say things differently. Instead of saying, shut up, you can easily say, be quiet, or watch your words, or, tone it down, something. But shut up is just so in your face, kind of angry. Now, I probably have my own issues of where that came from. I don't know. I could always think about that. But there's probably words that you've heard that somebody has said to you, and you know how they've hurt your heart. Oh, you'll never get that right. And who do you think you are? You know, those demeaning things that make you doubt yourself, that those negative words. So I know that you don't want to be that kind of person. I know you don't want to say mean and ugly things to others. So my first caution is, as I said before, is to pause before you say them and really think about what it is that you're saying. And if you're just calling names, and right now there's so much name calling. I mean, I don't know, sometimes I think our political thing out there in the world right now is like kids in a playground just fighting each other and that nanny nanny boo boo, and yeah, it's just, anyway, it's just, there's so much meanness going on. So I choose not to go down that road. And I know that you do too. The reason that you come on and you listen is because you want something positive in your life, right? So the positive in all this is that we have a choice, that we can choose our words carefully. We can say those things that will uplift our children. We can say those things that will lift up our friends and encourage them. And if somebody comes to you with an idea that you just think is so ridiculous, you're thinking, oh my gosh, how dumb is that? Don't say that. Okay, don't say that. Just say, wow, that is really interesting. I've never thought of that before. You see how different that is? You know, I suppose like, that is the dumbest idea I've ever heard. You know, to do it, like, oh my goodness, well, tell me about that. You know, have them explain it. You know, they may have the next best, greatest something. And because we don't understand it, because we don't know exactly where they're coming from. So there's so many ways that we can say the same thing. So try, as you're going through your week, try to think about your words before you say them and how you can maybe say them differently so they wouldn't hurt somebody's feelings. Does that make sense? Okay. Oh, Allison, a word, the stupid, that is such an ugly word. I know. And I've heard it so much. I don't know, not for me personally, but I've heard other people call someone stupid. And I think that's very hurtful. And if you hear that enough, and I've read books about, you know, many of the big millionaires, billionaires, many of the very, very successful people in our country actually came from upbringings where they had to overcome that. They always felt like they were the loser. They always felt like they were the underdog. Matter of fact, Dean Graziosi just wrote a book called The Underdog. It might have another couple words in the title. But that's it. When somebody calls you those names enough, pretty soon you start believing them. And it takes a long time to get past that and work through that, realizing that you are not stupid or ugly or dumb or any of those other little ones that I read off of that list. Because who are you? You are a child of the Most High God. You are incredible. You are unique. You are specially made. You are called for a purpose. And when you begin, and remember last week we talked about what does the Word of God say? All right. What does the Word of God say about our speech and the words that we say? And then what does it say about you? Because that's the only truth you need to know. So when when those things start coming up inside you and you hear those words in your head, and maybe even now somebody still says them to you, go to that place and where you can just delete that and say, I am not. And say to yourself what is true about you. Don't believe the lies and the negativity and the ugly words. So say to yourself, you know, I am talented. I am amazing. God has gifted me with a way to help other people. God's gifted me with being a great friend. So what is that thing that's special about you that you can go to and always take back and say, this is what God says. I am choosing not to believe what that other person said. Just because they've told me that for the last 25 years doesn't mean it's true. It just means they're getting away with it. They're being a bully and they're being mean. But you don't have to believe it. And that's the important thing. So just as I don't want you to believe those mean, ugly things that people say, because yeah, they do hurt us. But we have to take it and look at it and then choose to believe it or not. Okay, that's where the choice comes in. We can't make them stop it. Although, like I said, sometimes it is very helpful to sit down with someone and tell them where they've hurt you. And I am not one that really likes to, I don't like conflict. I don't like drama. Like, who does really, right? But I have learned over the years, and I have to say, really, it was in my Mary Kay business because I worked with more women, through that period of time than I had, I'd worked, always had girlfriends and those kind of things. But in Mary Kay, when I was working with women, I really had to learn how to talk to people differently, depending on the circumstances. And numerous times I finally realized that I needed to go to them and ask them. So I realized something happened between us, but I don't understand what happened. Could you just tell me? I'm going to apologize right now. I apologize that I've hurt your feelings, but can you tell me what I did? I don't really understand. And I'll tell you, it is powerful. It is powerful because so often, I mean, I think every time, I don't know that there was any, I don't think there was a time that it didn't work out this way. But I'll say most of the time, but I think actually all of the time, when I would do that, they would tell me, and it was like, oh my gosh, and then again, I would apologize and just say, I had no idea. This is what I meant. Forgive me for saying that. Forgive me that I said that wrong and that hurt your feelings. But in every case, just to be able to take it on, apologize, and let them know that wasn't my intention and what was I trying to say. And sometimes, it's not like you're going to totally resolve everything, but so many times the issues that happen, and if we do it before it goes too long, when things last for years and years, it's much harder to do that. You can still do it. But if we catch it early, if you notice a change in a relationship, just ask them. So that's where our words, again, can be so powerful, is just looking for ways that we can make it better. Find out what it was, because if something I'm doing is hurting other people, then I want to know it so I can change that behavior. It's up to me how I do it, right? Just like it's up to you, what you say and what you do, right? So let's see, any other comments over here? Let's see, anybody else said anything? Oh, Kristen, okay, I dislike when others say I have potential. For me, it seems I'm not enough yet. It's not the word, it's the association I have. Oh, I love that. Kristen, I think that is a great, thank you for sharing that. And I can see that. So if I say, oh my gosh, you've got such great potential, then taking that as if, well, you've got great potential, you're not doing anything now, but you could do better. That's sort of what you're saying, I think. That is a great one, because I'll bet that's one that many of us use. And maybe in a better way that people could say that. And I think this is where it's important too, to think of how could you say that, or how could somebody say those things differently? How would it be the same if someone actually just said to you, wow, I see a bright future ahead? So, because chances are that's what they mean, like, oh, you've got so much potential. I can see great things ahead for you. But when you say you've got potential, it's like you're not living up to your potential, right? That's how you're associating it. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. They never help me reach it, so I'm left feeling less than. Kristen, thank you for sharing that. I love it when you guys feel like you can just open up and share. And I know we're up at the top of our hour here, but I'm going to go a few more minutes because I want to see if there's anyone else that had comments that they wanted to make. Oh, Allison, so I can see I can see where that would be really hurtful. If y'all see the comments here, Allison had mentioned the word stupid. I asked y'all if there were words that maybe somebody called you or whatever when you were growing up or in your life. And okay, so I see. So you had siblings, it looks like you had siblings who you're calling them genius. Okay, because I know you, I'm going to tell you something about yourself, and you are so not stupid. You have a heart of gold. I love it when I actually know each one of you that comes on. Allison, you have a heart of gold, and I would take a heart of gold over genius anytime, and so I hope that you've learned through the years what beautiful things are about yourself. You're so caring, you're so helpful, and it takes a long time. It's hard to get over that when you're called that all the time and always put down. I'll tell you, we've got one of the gals in our Fun Fearless group, and I'm not going to give her name because I wouldn't want to embarrass her, although I don't think she'd mind, but I won't give her name. And she is so smart. She would be in what you call the genius thing. And she was so smart that her family put her down because they thought she was a know-it-all. The truth is she did know. She did know. She never forgot anything. She has like photographic memory. So she didn't mean to be, but she just knew the answer. She knew it. But she was put down because she was smart. Like, oh, you're just a know-it-all. Just we don't. They gave her no encouragement for her the gifts that she had, and it's so sad either way that it goes. But is learning and has learned that her value is so important, that what she brings to the table in relationships and into groups, how valuable she is, and she's a great friend. She's a great friend to me, just as you are, Allison. And so, each of you, as I leave you this morning, each of you has something so wonderful about you. And if you ever can't figure that out, just check in with me, because I really can help you discover that. And I'm not talking about charging you for coaching or whatever. We could always do that if you want it sometime. But I want you all to know how unique and special you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You were not put on this earth to feel bad. You were not put on this earth to feel like you're nothing and that you're worthless, because you are so valuable. You are enough. God has already given you everything you need to be who he created you to be. I mean, the gifts are already there. It's allowing yourself to see it. It's allowing yourself to believe it, because that's where it starts. It's realize it and believe it, and then take action on that. All right. Words are powerful, you guys, and I want you to know that I'm here to be your cheerleader. I'm here to lift you up and say the words that maybe no one said to you before, that you need to know, and on a daily basis. I'm in another group. I'm in a big mastermind group, and one of the guys actually posted on there, because the question was asked, what is it that holds you back? What do you need to release before you can move forward? And then everybody was sharing. And then this guy got on and he said, if I could just have somebody call me every day and tell me that I'm worth it, he said that would make all the difference. And actually, it's interesting because that's part of a program that I'll be sharing with y'all later, not today, about ways to get that positive encouragement all the time. Because we all need it. We all need those affirmations. We all need those good, powerful words, because sometimes it's just hard. And right now in our society, it is hard. We're in uncertain times. We don't know sometimes what to do. We certainly don't know what's going to happen next. But just know that you are equipped. You have everything already planted inside you that you need to be all that God's created you to be. All right, so believe that, because I know it's true. I so 100% believe that. All right, you guys, remember that life is not a matter of chance. Thank you, Jesus, for that. It is a matter of choice. Choose wisely. Choose to believe the good things about you and not the negative, and choose to say words that will uplift people and not tear them down. All right, love you. Thank you for being here. See you next week. Bye now.